Fun. Philippine Islands. It's more fun in the Philippines. In the Philippines. Philippine Islands. In the Philippines.
Hello everyone. Welcome to our international prop chat on every Wednesday, 3 p.m. GMT plus 8 at Facebook or YouTube Live. Good afternoon, everyone. So I hope you have a good day and enjoy your rest of the week. All right. So I'm Mandy from IQI Global and your host of the day. On behalf of IQI Global, the Asia's biggest real estate and investment agency, also a member of Juwai.com, I would like to thank everyone for your supporting on our program, especially on every Wednesday and Saturdays. Our webinar usually features some of the best investments or projects in the various hotspots around the globe. If you like our program, please share it with your friends and give us lots of support and love. Okay, should you have any comments and questions, remember to leave it in the comment box and we will try to answer to you shortly. Well, for the last three episodes, we have been talking about the 8 reasons why you should consider a Philippines. Of course, we do talk about the lifestyle for an expat that living in Philippines and why Philippines is the chosen country. And of course, the last one is the investment criteria. And I hope by now you have some feelings on this beautiful tropical country, Philippines. Have you? Today, we will share another topic that is the competitive advantage of investing in Philippines. So, are you ready? So, without further delay, let's me welcome Andrew, our country head and managing director of IQI Philippines, to share with us this interesting topic. Let's go.
Hello,
Hi,
hello,
Andrew.
hello. Good afternoon, Mandy.
Good afternoon to you. How are you?
I'm doing fine. We are actually exposed to COVID, but I'm feeling so fine actually. So I'm just ignoring it.
Okay,
All right.
so basically, there's no lockdown, life goes
No
normal.
lockdown, yeah, no lockdown. Just typical exposure, I guess. It's quite common now to all countries, and I think we have learned how to live with it, and nothing stops us. So the show must go on.
Yeah, and most important thing is safe to travel to Philippines, right?
That's correct. Yes.
Okay, so I'll pass the floor to you. So today you're gonna share us a very interesting topic, right?
That's correct, Mandy. So for today, I'll be talking about the what are the competitive advantage of investing in real estate in the Philippines. I mean, like what you said earlier, we have tackled already the 8 reasons why the Philippines is a hotspot for investment, the lifestyle here, as well as comparison of all the hotspots for investment, and as well as the what do you call this, the criteria in investing in the Philippines. Right now, what we're going to do is that we're going to highlight the I would say, the unique
Mhm.
advantage of the real estate investment in the Philippines.
Yeah, can't wait to hear that.
All right. Okay. Sure. So
Slide.
let's start. There. I'll be sharing with you the slides for today's presentation.
Here it goes.
All right. Okay. So, of course, good afternoon to everyone, and thank you for supporting us in the last few weeks of talking about Philippines. I know at this point you have a great idea already of why a lot of foreigners are investing in the Philippines in the last 10 years. And today, for sure, you will find it very interesting to know what are the specific competitive advantage of our properties in the Philippines. All right, on the next slide, you will see the first part, which is high rental yield, which I have already discussed during the first episode. And we have mentioned during that time that we are second in Asia when it comes to the highest rental yield, and that is 6.13%, no, next to Indonesia. But of course, during I would say, the golden years before the pandemic, the golden days before the pandemic, we have noted around 7% to 9% in Bonifacio Global City, in Ortigas Center, Bay Area, and Makati, which we have highlighted during the last episode, comparing all the hotspots for investment. All right. Now, during the pandemic, a lot of you would be asking, so Drew, what was the rental yield during the pandemic? At that time, of course, it went down to 3% to 4%. But right now, the market is back. There's a lot of demand coming from expats, and a lot of companies are also renting out not just office spaces, but also industrial spaces or warehouses. All right. And right now, we have reached around 6% to 7% yield as we speak. Okay. Now, the second competitive advantage of the Philippines is of course, the high demand and high and low vacancy. Okay, rather low vacancy. All right. So again, like what we said earlier, of course, during the pandemic, we have experienced the very high vacancy of a lot of offices and also the residential. But right now, the market is picking up. Before the pandemic, we have noted around 10% vacancy rate for residential and 6% vacancy rate for offices all over Metro Manila. And why am I highlighting this? Because, of course, we're not stuck in the idea of having pandemic and having lockdowns anymore, right? We're moving forward. And I think in real estate, it's all about what you foresee in the future. And this is actually what we can look forward to. If this happened during before the pandemic in 2016 to 2019, then we can expect the market to bounce back and have the same vacancy rate in all the residential and commercial segment of real estate. So where are the demands coming from? Of course, the gaming industry, but it declined already. But we have still the KPO or the BPO, and of course, we have the other multinational companies who are moving back here in the Philippines. As what we have shared before, we have noted a lot of telecommunication companies who are trying to penetrate the Philippines and offer their services here. And that will definitely provide millions of jobs opportunities to a lot of Filipinos, and that will help the economy. And on the office segment, of course, that will also result to take up of a lot of office spaces. And also in connection with that, there will also be a huge take up in the availability of residential houses or condominiums. Okay, so next slide. Of course, the most, I would say, popular advantage of having a property in the Philippines is the property appreciation. So, like what we highlighted before, in 2019, it was the highest rent property appreciation that we have recorded at 29.1. And if you can see the other years, we're quite consistent with the increase in property value. We have 14.3%, 7.11%, 9.95% to be the lowest in the last 9 years. And we are also expecting that by 2022, we will have a 16.9% appreciation this year. All right. So, of course, if you have invested in the Philippines, it is an opportunity now to actually invest because we are expecting a tremendous growth again in the property value. Okay. Now, right after the high property appreciation, the next interesting thing that you have to know about the Philippines is that we have tons of flexible payment terms when it comes to pre-selling condominiums or projects that we are actually selling. Here in the Philippines, you will find a lot of developers who are offering no down payment. Or sometimes you will have a 10% down payment. Like, for example, for this one project that we are marketing, the Velaris Residences, which we will feature by the end of the month, you can actually have a 20% down payment or 10% down payment, then the remaining balance of 90% to 60% spread out, and of course, 20% upon turnover. But we also have the most flexible one, which is 10% down payment, and then we have the 10 months to be spread out for a certain period of time before the turnover of the actual property. And of course, the turnover balance shall be paid before the turnover reaches around 50% or 80%. So this is one of the things that a lot of foreign nationals are very attracted to, because they can actually get a piece of they can get a property price at a certain value, and they can only pay around 20% or 30% within that period of development, or for example, 5 years of building the project, and they can actually sell it afterwards. But that one, I will discuss that later on the next part of this discussion. Okay? Then the next project that we have that has flexible payment terms is the One Shera by PIK. And PIK is one of the biggest player, Russian developer that has a lot of footprints, not just in Russia, but also in Europe. And we are the first country in Asia that they decided to put up a project. And with this one, the most flexible payment terms that we have is you have the 3 months down payment spread out for 3 months, and the remaining 12 months to be 12% to be spread out in 36 months, and 85% upon turnover. Of course, we also have if you have more cash available right now, you can have a 10% spread out for 36 months, and then the 90% shall be paid upon turnover. All right. So these are the interesting and exciting flexible payment terms that you can actually avail in these two projects. And of course, we also have another project which we can see on the other slide. And this is the Lattice in Park Links, which is a project of Alveo, a subsidiary of Ayala Land Corporation, which I think majority of our foreign investors have already purchased before, and they're all happy with the deliverables of this project or this developer. And even the big developers are also offering very flexible payment terms that are very, I would say, palatable for the taste or the interest of a lot of foreign investors. So we have the no down payment and then 25% to be spread out for 62 months and 75% upon turnover. And we also have around 10% down payment spread out for 6 months, and then the remaining 50% to be amortized on 56 months, 50% to be amortized on 56 months, and the 75% to be paid upon turnover. Okay, and later on, we're going to connect these flexible payment terms with the opportunity for us to actually flip a property and be able to get a huge amount of return of equity, which later on I'm going to discuss or show you an example on how you can actually take advantage of this flexible payment terms. Next slide. Now, a lot of you are thinking also like, Drew, what's going to happen, for example, if I don't want to continue with my property that I bought in the Philippines? What are the options for me to get out of that particular property? What are the exit plans that are available? And I'm very glad to say that among other Asian countries, we have a very easy exit plan. Okay, so for example, if you stop, if you're not capable of paying anymore the investment, which happened to a lot of other foreign nationals and even Filipinos who are based abroad. So you can have two options. Number one is assume balance. So definitely you can sell anytime after signing of CTS. I believe some other countries have limitations on this, like you have to pay a certain amount in a certain period of time before you can actually sell that property. But in the Philippines, you can sell it as long as you have already signed the contract to sell. All right. And of course, as we move forward with that transaction, the only thing that you have to do is that to transfer the ownership, or you have to sign a deed of assignment. And of course, there is a very minimal fee that the developers would ask from you, and I would say that is quite not so significant. Okay, very minimal, definitely. And then another option is the refund upon cancellation. So some of the foreign buyers or investors are also thinking, Drew, what if I was not able to pay anymore my monthly amortization, right? And what's going to happen to me? Will I be losing my money, or what's going to be happening? Like, would there be a refund? And the answer to that is that we have a law that is covering, or I would say protecting, the interests of all the buyers, Filipinos or foreign. All right. And that is the Masada law. So if you are a foreign investor who have been thinking of buying properties in the Philippines, but you are worried that you might not be protected because you're a foreigner, then this law protects your interests as well. Okay. And with this Masada law, there is a possibility that you will be able to get 50% to 90% refund of what you have paid. Of course, there are some more details that you have to know about this law. And later on, on the next episode, I will be discussing with you what are the details of that particular law and what are your options being an investor. Then the next one is the return of equity. All right. Of course, we're investing in anything, not just in real estate, to earn some profit, right? And here is basically an example of these are actually cases that we have encountered in the past. And these are the amount or the return of equity that our clients have enjoyed after they have done this process. Okay. So let's just discuss this case study. Number one is that the client is a marketing manager, and he was like earning around 170,000 a month. And then what he did is that he decided to invest in a BGC property, a pre-selling condominium, in 2014 with a contract price of 9 million pesos. And the property was turned over in 2018. And what he did is that he used it for 12 months, enjoyed the amenities of the building, of the project, and then afterwards he decided to sell it, and at the current value of 18 million pesos. Okay, so what happened to his investment? So basically, the initial investment is 1.8 million or 20% down payment. And then what he did is that he took a loan for that particular property. So of course, the loan amount was 7.2 million or the 80% of the bank loan. And then, of course, during the first year, there was an interest of 6% amounting to 236,000 pesos, 139 and 50 cents. And of course, after you sold the property, you have to pay back the bank and you have to pay back the loan, amounting to 7.2 million. And of course, with all the taxes, the capital gain tax, the broker's commission, so that amount is actually the cost of the seller, which is 1.760 million pesos. If you're going to sum it up, the total cost of the client is 10,996,000 pesos. All right, but he was able to sell the property at 18 million pesos. So basically, the profit is 7 million 3,860 pesos and 50 cents. All right, and if you're going to compute the return of equity, that is 184.49%. Okay, so that is the ROE that you can actually enjoy if you do the same thing with this particular investor. All right, so the next one is a different scenario. So this one is without bank loan. Okay, so the client paid the full amount using his own money. All right, so with this one, you will definitely have a 67.29% ROE. All right, so what happened is that he paid everything. Of course, there will be no loan interest. He doesn't need to pay any loan principal, but there is a tax and fees that he needs to actually pay for the sale of the property. And with this, he was able to have a 67.29% ROE. Okay, then the next scenario is the client actually sold the property before the turnover. Okay, so this is what I'm trying to connect earlier with the flexible payment terms, right? In the Philippines, with all our flexible payment terms, and if you decide to sell the property before the turnover by just paying 20% of the proper amount of the property, or sometimes 30% or 15%, that will actually allow you to have more or bigger return of equity. But of course, we don't recommend this to all projects or to all properties. People who are succeeding in this kind of approach knows how to select the right property, the right project, and the most sought after unit type as well. So for you to be able to do this successfully, you have to talk to your broker or to your agents and ask a lot of questions about which one is the best property that I can probably flip, which area is very popular to a lot of investors, and which do you think is the area or project that I can do such kind of approach. All right, so with this one, same thing, marketing manager, he bought the property in BGC in 2014, sold it at 9 million, and then sold it at 17 million in 2018. Okay, so with this one, basically you only paid 20%, 20% DP. All right, and before the turnover, you have advised already the developer that I'm not going to accept or sign the deed of absolute sale, and I have an intention to sell my property. All right. So with the possible cost of 1.760 million and with the selling price of 17 million, basically your total cash out from your pocket is only 3.56 million pesos, and your profit is 13,440,000, which will give you a return of equity of 377.52%. Again, it's actually there's a higher return of equity with this particular approach, but it entails also a very, I would say, a keen eye on details and which one is actually very saleable or marketable in the future. The art of anticipation is very important for this particular type of approach in real estate. Okay, flipping is actually a very rewarding approach in selling or earning something from real estate, but it entails also a very careful identification of the property and also the strategy. All right, so next slide. Of course, one of the other advantages of investing in the Philippines is the use of property as a deposit for special resident retirement visa. As what we have mentioned during one of our episodes, is that um, right now, if you have a investment in the Philippines worth 50,000 US dollars, that can be used as your deposit to have the special resident retirement visa. Okay, and the special resident retirement visa is being used by a lot of Koreans, Chinese to open up a business here or for their kids to study here as well. Some of them are actually retiring in the Philippines, opening up beach properties or opening up some businesses and have their kids enjoy I would say, cheaper lifestyle in the Philippines. Okay, so those are basically the competitive advantages of investing in the Philippines that we have not highlighted before. Of course, three of them you have heard that last time already during our presentation, but the last three are actually the unique selling proposition of the projects that we have here in the Philippines. So that ends my presentation for this particular segment. Back to you, Mandy.
Thank you, Drew. Very interesting. So let's see whether we have any questions.
All right.
Okay, I have a question. So when you talk about all these option plan, definitely is actually very attractive to a lot of investors because certain countries, especially we talk about around the globe, not every country will have this kind of options payment plan, and Philippines is actually one of the unique country that offers such payment plan. And I would say to Malaysian is more like a progressive payment. So in this case, it's a similar structures, but they name it differently. So do you think that this kind of options that is applicable to both local and foreigner, or they just actually open up to foreigner?
Yeah, basically, it's applicable for everyone. The thing is that the only challenge for foreigners is the lump sum that they have to pay at the end or upon turnover. Of course, if you choose the most flexible one, which is you have to pay the 20% or 30% for the next 4 years or 5 years, then you have to consider where will I get the 80% or 70% by the end of upon turnover, right? So again, another option for that is you sell or assign the property to someone else and get some profit from that. But like what I said earlier, it totally depends on the property that you have because some properties are not so good with flipping. You know,
Mhm.
not everything that you can actually own can be flipped easily. So I think it's important that you consider, of course, the type of property that you have. Are they very marketable? Are they being sought after? If yes, then I think you can do the flipping afterwards and not worry about the turnover fees or the balance. But if not, then I think you have to consider how much cash you have to pay off the balance because, like what we mentioned last time, bank loans are not so open for foreigners who are not based here in the Philippines,
Yep.
unless you're working here or you have businesses here in the Philippines. You can get the bank loan.
Mm-hmm. And usually these options flexi payment plan do not come with any interest, right? It's actually free, right?
That's correct. Yeah. So there's no interest.
And the payment actually directly go to the developer. Is it safe in a ways that because what if the project go abandoned in a ways, but I have made
Right.
certain
Yeah.
settlements already.
Yeah.
That is
So
when we are talking about the 50% out of the 90% of the refund kind of structures that kicks in, right?
that's correct, Mandy. So basically, that's covered by the Maseda law. And
Mm-hmm.
also on the next episode, I will not spill the beans yet for those
Mm-hmm.
details, but definitely there is an option for you to actually collect some money from the investment that you have made. In the event that, for example, there's a pandemic and then you have to keep more money for yourself because it's not a safe time to actually, put out all your money in an investment. So there is a law in the Philippines that can cover you or protect your money as well. So it can range from 50% to 90% depending on the period of time that you have paid, and also if, for example, for the delays of projects, you can actually also have a refund, and maybe also stop paying their monthly amortization if there is a delay with the developer on the turnover period.
Okay, that's good to know. And the other questions is like usually, okay, of course, this is one of the rare case that if the investors or the clients decided to actually pay a full cash instead of go according to the payment options, What other benefit does he get? Because it's like he's gonna pay the full lump sum. So compared to the one that who choose to opt for this payment plan, so will he get additional perks or incentive from the developer?
Right, yeah. So normally developers are providing a lot of discounts, especially for the cash payments. It
Mhm.
ranges from 10%, I think that's the minimum, 10% to 20% sometimes, depending on the developer and project. So, of course, they can take advantage of that. That's a big discount on the chunk of money that they were going to pay. It really depends on the individual's, I would say, capability of paying. You know,
Mhm. Mhm.
so,
So please take notes, audience. If you, let's say you have allocate this much of money or fund for such investments, and you want to leverage on the huge discount in a way, okay, then probably you have to choose the cash buy so that you can enjoy at least a 10% discounts. Otherwise, if you were to choose the flexi payment plan, so don't expect that there will be a huge discount from there because basically you're going to spread over the installment amount. So it's very hard for the developer to actually give you such a huge discount. So
right.
please take note. I mean, this is one of the norms that if you were to buy Philippines as an investment, right? Okay, so another question is like because of the pandemic, in terms of the rental yield and the capital appreciation with regards to Philippine real estate, is that impact a lot? Is there any drop or significantly
Right.
during
Yeah.
this?
Basically, there's a decline on the property value for, I would say, secondary market on some of the projects. Like what I shared before, the high end market did not really change, but then
Mm-hmm,
those that belongs to the middle and the lower segment has already depreciated the property value, and of course that is based on their willingness to liquidate the property for a low price. Right. It's about demand and of course the supply. So
mm-hmm,
during the pandemic, there's a lot of people who would like to sell their property below market value. That's why we have noted a decline of around 3% during 2020 2021. But
mm-hmm,
in 2022, based on our study by Juwai, we are actually predicting around 16.9% appreciation in the market. And we have seen that because even the projects selling right now, the projects that we are marketing, are actually appreciating
mm-hmm.
amidst COVID's still here, but still appreciating. So I think the trend is always going up. It's just a matter of like how much growth per year. But I think we are very positive, and with all the economic considerations that we have right now for the Philippines, I think we are set to actually go to the better position. Which I think hopefully by 2023, 2024, 2025, we can expect even higher than 16.9.
Yeah. And no doubt about it, is like flipping is actually one of the options when you invest in Philippines, especially you are buying those off the plan project. But sometimes it all depends on the situations as well. And I would say that invest in properties or real estates will be best to hold mid to long term so you can actually see a much more capital gain when come to the investment. So if you're looking for short term kind of flipping, you still have to be a little bit more careful. It all depends on the locations, depends on the market sentiments, and also depends on um, the whole economy. I would say that. And I believe that right now, since the border is opened and a
Yeah.
lot of foreigners are going back to Philippines, I would think that eventually the market will go up. So it's just
Right.
a
Yeah.
matter of time. So it's always good that to start planning your investments if you really
Right.
convinced that Philippine real estate is one of the country you should go in. Better act fast before all this incentive or flexi plan withdrawn
Yes.
by the developer. That is probably a bit too late already. Am I right to say that?
Right. Before, like, there's most of the developers are offering zero down payment. Right
Mm-hmm.
now, they're going back to the 10%, 5%. So, of course, it's always a good time to start now. And like what you said earlier, having a decline on the property value is actually an opportunity also because they can come in and start investing. And, seeing something at the lower part means that it's going to bounce back afterwards, right? So just like in stocks, etc. So before the next bounce back happens, it's better to start investing now. While the appreciation is still slowing down, for sure, after 2 years or 3 years out of the pandemic and whatever other economic problems, of course, we will be able to expect a higher return, or I would say appreciation in the future.
Yeah, there's always a term say that you buy low and hit high. So I guess
Yes.
this is definitely, I would say 100% agreed when come to real estate. So this is the best time for you to grab one if you really think that Philippines is a good market to enter right now. All right, there's another question was asking, how about the vacancy rate in Philippines right now, especially you talk about in Makatis or BGC area. Is it still very high or relatively back to normal now?
Actually, right now we're still trying to pick up, no. So at this point, for the vacancy for residential, I think we're still at the double digit. I think we're around 15% right now, and then for the commercial right now, we're still at the double digit of around 20%.
Mhm.
So of course, the thing is that we're still seeing a lot of foreigners coming in, considering that we just opened the border, like I think 3 months ago, 4 months ago. So of course, we cannot expect a tremendous amount of foreigners or companies leasing out right away. But definitely, there's a movement already, and as what I said earlier, slowly we're actually reaching the normal rate as vacancy rate as before, and for sure after that we're going to expect similar vacancy based on the historical data of around 6% to 10%.
Mhm. Okay, and who is the biggest investors in terms of by country Philippines real estate?
Right. So right now it's Chinese. We have the mainland Chinese who's investing in the Philippines, followed by Koreans, followed by
Mhm.
Japanese, and then we have also the Americans as in the fourth place.
Mm, okay, interesting. I guess Chinese investors everywhere in the world.
Yes.
Okay. Of course, for those that who missed the hotspot last weekend, you can actually watch the replay, or maybe in this case, it's like Drew, you want probably to just highlight one or two hotspots that if the audience are interested to look into.
Right. Okay. Now, for the foreign investors, I would like them to consider the Pasig area or the C5 corridor. There's a lot of new projects right now in that area. It's an area that are being developed right now, wherein all the developers are starting to put up a lot of projects. It's not as I would say similar to BGC or Makati right now, but again, if you go there right now, honestly, what you can see is that a lot of construction going on, right? And
Mhm.
for some investors, they see that, oh, I don't want to be there because it's going to be ready after 5 years or 10 years, right? But again, investing in real estate is needs an art of anticipation. You have to look forward to what's going to happen in the future for your money to have more gains, right? Because again, if you are going to buy something in Makati or BGC that is already fully developed, then the price will be too high, and then the appreciation will be a little bit slower probably because there's less development in the area. But if you see a vacant lot with a lot of constructions going on, dirty as it seems, but I mean, I would say there is actually so much potential in the area. Like what we always tell them, those vacant lots, if you know what happened to Bonifacio Global City, to Makati, to Ortigas, that's pretty much what's going to happen here. And it's an opportunity for you to invest because the prices are still lower compared to the major CBDs. And again, we have to look for what's going to happen in the future. And the future always tells you that there is something that's going to happen there that will be beneficial for you. So I would say that area, the C5 corridor, remember that C5 corridor will be the hot spot in the future in the next 5 to 10 years.
Okay. So remember C5 corridor. Okay. So what
Yes.
is the minimum entry price when come to C5 corridors developments?
Yeah. For the C5 corridor right now, that is around 8 million pesos. Or if you're going
Mhm.
to convert that to dollars, that's 400,000 US dollars. So
Mhm.
that is the cheapest that you can find in the area.
Okay. And a lot of investor will ask me this questions like, Mandy, can I actually buy secondary markets in Philippines as a foreigner?
Yes. Yes, as long as it's a condominium or covered by a condominium certificate of title, there are some townhouses that is covered by that kind of title. Now, for the houses, if you want to buy houses, Then of course, you need to have a corporation here, 40% ownership, foreign ownership, and of course, if you're married to a Filipina or Filipino, then you can own that. You can own house and lots. But then again, there's some restriction on owning a land or lot in the Philippines when it comes to foreign nationals.
Okay, then what is the comparison if let's say I were to buy the off the plan, the one is under constructions compared to the one that is already completed, which is in the secondary, which is a better buy, to be honest, as
Uh,
a brand new investors that first time invest in Philippines.
Yeah. Well, for me, if you're still not so familiar with the Philippines, of course, it's always better to start with the off-plan projects. Other than the flexible payment terms, you're not going to shell out the full amount of the property,
Mhm.
and you have a lot of time to actually study the area and check first, like what's happening in the country, and you can decide later on after 2 years or 3 years if you would like to lease it out or sell it after the turnover or maybe exit it earlier as you don't find that you will be able to sustain your investment. So it's a good option for you to start with. And then if
Mhm.
you are familiar with the area, if you've been based here or you have business partners here that you have transacted with already, then I think the secondary market is there. It's a good option for you. You can rent it out and you will have immediate return on your money.
Wow, that is great. So I hope audience, you have benefited some of the tips that shared by Andrew today. So right now you should be able to differentiate which is a better buy and which category are you belong to, and which type of investment you should look into, or I would say what kind of flexi plan that you should opt for. So if you are the one that looking for good discounts, perhaps you go for a cash buy. If you are more conservative, you want to make a progressive payments, then you can choose the flexible. And this is one of the best options that if you would to invest in Philippines. Of course, another good selling point of investing in Philippines is like you can actually sell before the turnover. So this is also very interesting. But bear in mind that it's not all the project you can actually flip it before the completions. It all depends on the locations, depends on the demand and supplies, and also depends on the market sentiment. So please take note when it comes to investment. All right. So any last point or last take up for our audience here before we end these sessions?
All right. Now, if you would like to really invest in the Philippines, finish the series of this prop chat definitely until the end of the month, so that you will be informed about the best approach on how to invest in the Philippines. And of course, I always say this: like you have to choose your three partners in investing. No, so choose the right developer, choose the right agent, and choose the right property. And definitely, if you would like to have the right broker, we are here. IQI Philippines, IQI Global, Mandy, and everyone to assist you on giving you the right advices. On the next episode, we will not just share with you the good things. We're going to share with you also the horror stories that we have encountered and how we can actually get out of that problems. We are here not just to lure you to invest in the Philippines with blindfolded. We want you to be knowledgeable about what you're going to expect in investing in the Philippines, good and bad, so that you can have your, I would say, best decision moving forward.
So this is, of course, one of the main objective of our international prop chat is to educate the public to invest wisely. So remember, if you like our program and you think that our program benefiting you, remember to give us lots of love and support and share it with your friends. So in the events that you miss any of our episode, you can always go back to our IQI International Sales YouTube to watch the replay. So don't forget to join us this coming Saturday. We're going to tell you something different compared to others ordinary agents would to share with you. Okay, something that you shouldn't miss. So stay tuned with us at 9:30 this coming Saturday. All right. So meanwhile, I'm Mandy Chen signing off. Thanks, Andrew, again for your awesome sharing. Bye bye and take care, everyone.
Bye bye.
Congratulations to